SEC football ranking, Auburn's top 10 in 2021. Auburn posted a 6-7 record, climbed as high as number 12 in the AP poll and played in the Birmingham Bowl in its first season under coach Brian Harsin. 10 numbers from the Tigers' 2021 campaign. 1 victory in Baton Rouge this century for Auburn after the Tigers defeated LSU 24-19 in Tiger Stadium on October 2nd. Auburn overcame a 13-0 deficit in the game, with 255 yards and 1 TD through the air and 74 yards and 1 TD on the ground for QB Bo Nix. By rallying for the win, Auburn broke a 10-game losing streak on LSU's home field with its first victory in Baton Rouge since a 41-7 win on September 18, 1999. Auburn became the first visiting team to win at Tiger Stadium in October since Florida took a 13-3 victory in Baton Rouge on October 10, 2009. LSU had won 26 consecutive October home games, 2 comebacks from double-digit deficits for Auburn against Georgia State on September 25 and LSU on October 2, the first time the Tigers had accomplished that feat in consecutive contests since 2010. Auburn fell behind LSU 13-0 before rallying for a 24-19 victory. In their previous game, the Tigers trailed Georgia State 24-12 but posted a 34-24 victory. In 2010, Auburn trailed Georgia 21-7 in the first quarter before taking a 49-31 victory, then fell behind Alabama 24-0 in the second quarter of its next game before rallying for a 28-27 win. Unfortunately for Auburn, the comebacks worked both ways in 2021, with the Tigers holding double-digit leads in each of their final 3 regular season games before losing to Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Alabama on consecutive Saturdays. 3 pairs of Auburn players have rushed for 100 yards apiece in back-to-back games, including RBS tank Bigsby and Jarquez in the first 2 games of the 2021 season. In the Tigers' 62-0 victory over Alabama State on September 11, Hunter ran for 147 yards and 1 TD on 8 carries, and Bigsby ran for 122 yards on 11 carries after Bigsby had 119 yards and 2 TDS on 13 carries, and Hunter had 110 yards and 1 TD on 9 carries in a 60-10 victory over Akron on September 4. In 2009, Ontario McCalebb ran for 148 yards and Tate ran for 117 in a season-opening 37-13 victory over Louisiana Tech, and the next week, Tate ran for 157 yards and McCalebb ran for 114 yards in a 49-24 victory over Mississippi State. In 2014, Cameron Artis-Payne ran for 116 yards and Nick Marshall ran for 105 in a 45-17 victory over Louisiana Tech, and the next week, Artis-Payne ran for 126 yards and Marshall ran for 119 in a 41-7 victory over LSU. After becoming the first Auburn freshman with 100 rushing yards in a season opener since McCalebb in 2009, Hunter had a 94-yard touchdown run against Alabama State, which is the longest in Auburn history. Hunter broke Ralph Ogwin's record run of 92 yards that had stood since Auburn's 44-0 victory over Loyola of New Orleans on November 21, 1936. Hunter finished the season with 593 rushing yards and 3 TDS on 89 carries. Bigsby had 1,099 yards and 10 TDS on 223 rushing attempts in 2021 to record Auburn's 29th 1,000-yard season. 6 seconds teams have scored at least 60 points in consecutive games after Auburn opened the 2021 season by beating Akron 60-10 on September 4 and Alabama State 62-0 on September. The first SEC team to score at least 60 points in back-to-back games was Alabama in 1945, when the Crimson Tide beat Kentucky 60-19 and Vanderbilt 71-0. Florida started the 1994 season by beating New Mexico State 70-21 and Kentucky 73-7. South Carolina defeated Kent State 77-14 and Mississippi State 65-39 in back-to-back games in 1995. Ole Miss started the 2015 season by beating Tennessee Martin 76-3 and Fresno State 73-21. LSU beat Northwestern State 65-14 and Vanderbilt 66-38 in consecutive games in 2019. 6 games have featured 2 100-yard receivers for Auburn, including the Tigers' 43-34 loss to Mississippi State on November 13. Against the Bulldogs, W.R. Kobe Hudson caught 8 passes for 107 yards and 1 TD, and W.R.J. Avarius Johnson caught 4 passes for 102 yards. Other Auburn tandems with more than 100 receiving yards apiece in the same game include Terry Beasley and Alvin Bressler in a 35-28 victory over Ole Miss in the Gator Bowl on January 1, 1971, Thomas Bailey and Andy Fuller in a 36-33 victory over Florida on October 15, 1994, Ronnie Daniels and Markeith Cooper in a 41-7 victory over LSU on September 18, 1999, Terrell Zachary and Darvin Adams in a 62-24 victory over Chattanooga on November 6, 2010, and Sammy Coates and Duke Williams in a 55-44 loss to Alabama on November 29, 2014. For more of old.com's coverage of the SEC, go to our SEC page. 9 consecutive seasons have ended in bowls for Auburn, with the Tigers' trip to the Birmingham Bowl to cap the 2021 campaign tying the school's longest bowl streak. Auburn has played in a bowl every season since 2013, when it played in the BCS National Championship game. Auburn's previous 9-season bowl streak ran from 1982 through 1990. The Tigers' most recent bowl trip resulted in a 17-13 loss to Houston on December 28. 33 receptions for 413 yards for John Samuel Schenker in 2021 to break the Auburn single-season records for a tight end. Fred Baxter established the mark of 28 receptions in 1991, which Robert Johnson had tied in 2002. Baxter also had established the Auburn tight end record of 391 receiving yards in 1991. 256 passes without an interception for Auburn QB Bo Nix until he was picked off by Georgia pound Nakobe Dean on a throw bobbled by the receiver in the Tigers' 34-10 loss to the Bulldogs on October 9. Nix's streak is the third longest in SEC history, surpassing his 251 pass streak that ended in last year's game against Georgia. The only SEC streaks of passes without an interception longer than the two by Nix are 325 by Kentucky QB Andre Woodson in 2006 and 2007 and 291 by Alabama QB A.J. McCarron in 2011 and 2012. 8,120 yards of total offense for Auburn QB Bo Nix, the most in school history. Nix moved past the record of 7,920 career yards set by Stan White from 1990 through 1993 with 374 yards in the Tigers' 43-34 loss to Mississippi State on November 13. Nix had 7,251 passing yards and 869 rushing yards in his career. He sustained an injury against Mississippi State that prevented him from playing in the final 3 games of the season, and after the season, Nix transferred to Oregon. 109,958 spectators attended the Auburn-Penn State game on September 18 at Beaver Stadium in University Park, Pennsylvania, the largest crowd to witness a game involving the Tigers. The previous record crowd for an Auburn game had been 107,828 at the Tigers' 34-10 victory over Tennessee on October 2, 2004, at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. Penn State defeated Auburn 28-20. Mark Anabanet is a sports reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at @AMarkG1.